Alright, when we talk IP addressing subnet masks, we need to talk ANDing. Again, this is CNT125, Chapter 8. We're working on the section on ANDing now. ANDing is a logic function. Routers and hosts, we just got done talking about subnet mask and how hosts look at their IP address subnet mask to know what network things belong to. Well, how it does this is actually through ANDing. Routers and hosts use ANDing to determine if the destination address is on their own network or another network, and the routers do it to find out, okay, what network do I need to route this to? So ANDing is a electronic logic function that's going when the two pieces are ANDed together, the result is going to be the network ID or the network number that an address belongs to. Okay, so ANDing is an actual electronic logic function where you have two inputs, two positive voltages, if you will. Those come into a chip, and the end result is going to be a positive voltage out. So, two positive voltages in is going to yield a positive voltage out. If I have a positive voltage in on one side and none on the other, it's going to be a zero or no voltage out. Zero on the other side, voltage, and a positive voltage here, it's still going to yield a zero voltage out. So I usually tell people, think of it almost like multiplication. 1 times 1 equals 1, and 1 times anything else or 0 times anything else is going to be 0. So it has to be literally a 1 and a 1 to result in a 1. Two positive voltages in to result in a positive voltage out. Like I said, this is a logic function on a chip, on a microprocessor, if you will. Okay, so here's what happens. Let's take an example. If node A wants to send data to node B, and node A is on 172.16.31, or I should say node A is at the address 172.16.31.250/20, that's CIDR notation, and I have class B address, or node B address is 172.16.32.10/20, again CIDR notation. We'll decipher that in just a minute. Node A is going to need to find out, is node B on my network, or do I need to put this to a default gateway? And when you first look at this, you're like, okay, it looks like it should be. Okay, those first 3 octets, okay. But I actually have to dig a little bit further to be sure. And this is really what your routers and computers and things are doing to find this out. So if I look at node A address 172.16.31.250/20, here is 172.16.31.250, and I take that IP address, write it out in binary, and again, this is what computers are doing. Here it is in binary, 172.16.31.250, and the subnet mask of /20. Okay, don't let that get you bent out of shape at this point. /20 means there are 20 bits in the subnet mask, 20 ones in the subnet mask. So if I write out 8, okay, there's the first 8 ones. Next 8 ones, we're up to 16. 17, 18, 19, 20. If I put 4 more in there to make 20, there's my subnet mask. 255.255, some number, it's actually 240.0. That would be my subnet mask. So what happens now is the IP and subnet mask are ANDed to yield a network or subnet number. So if I take a look up here, this 172, if I combine it with ones, like I said, it's almost like multiplication. So if I combine this here with all ones, I'm going to get the same number. 1 times 1 equals 1, 0 times 1 equals 0, 1 times 1 equals 1, 0 times 1 equals 0. So I'm literally going to end up with the same number down here because I'm multiplying, ANDing with all ones. Second octet will be the same thing. 16 ANDed with all ones is going to yield 16. The third octet's a little different. 31 is this number right here. When I AND it together with my 240, 0 and 1, 0, 0 and 1, 0, 0 and 1, 0, 1 and 1 makes 1. The rest out here are going to be all zeros. You noticed all of those kind of got chopped off, if you will. And what comes out is 16. This 31 address belongs to the 16 network or subnet. The last octet being host, 250, ANDed with all zeros is going to be 0. So this ANDing process literally chops off the host portion and just leaves you with the network portion of the address. In this case, the proper network portion, the subnet portion, because there was subnetting going on. So node A in this case actually belongs to the 172.16.16 network or subnet. We didn't know that before. We do now. Node B, I do a similar process. 172.255 is going to equals 172. 16 ANDed with 255 is going to yield 16. 32, okay, 32 ANDed with 240. I'm going to end up with, okay, 0 and 1 is 0, 0 and 1 is 0, 1 and 1 makes 1, and the rest is all zeros out here. Okay, so we're going to end up with, 32. This guy does actually belong to the 32 subnet. And actually here 10 out here, and it was 0 is going to be 0. So 172.16.32, 0. So we now found out which networks each of these nodes belong to. So A belongs to the 172.16.16 network. B belongs to the 172.16.32 network. And as we looked at it before, it almost seemed like they were on the same network, or it seemed like it could be feasible that they were on the same network, and they're totally, completely not. So in this case, that computer would know, hey, I can't send this directly. I need to actually send this to the default gateway. They will now and find out what port that it needs to send itself out to get to that correct network. So ANDing can be, as I always say, it's how your computers and routers operate to find out where things are. That's nice, but it can also be handy for us as we're trying to figure out what subnet a particular thing belongs to. I've actually used this to find out a node was trying to print to something, couldn't print to it, so I kind of found out what subnet the printer was on, what subnet the computer was on, and found out something changed and they were isolated. They were on the wrong subnets. So I had to alter the printer settings to get it back on the correct subnet that the computers were on. Not a big deal, but it was actually handy to do this just to kind of find out real quickly where things are falling, and to let me know that things were in different subnets, things were isolated. Okay, so ANDing, critical function. Routers and nodes use this to find out what networks things belong to. We're going to use it as shortcuts to find this kind of thing out very quickly, what subnet something belongs to. It's a little ace in your back pocket, especially when it comes to network certification exams. They love to ask you questions about what subnet something belongs to, and you notice you zoom right in here on the octet where action has occurred. You can find it out very quickly. Stick this in your back pocket. We'll come back in the next podcast to talk about CIDR.